This is Win News.
Tonight, Will Hodgman shrugs off polls suggesting his leadership is under threat. Eric Abetz' son fronts court for driving under the influence of drugs, and plans for a northeast rail trail one step closer. Good evening, I'm Lucy Breaden. Premier Will Hodgman could be facing the biggest challenge to his leadership since winning government 3 years ago, with new polling data showing Labor leader Rebecca White has edged closer as preferred premier.
Out at AgFest, Will Hodgman was keen to talk about his latest commitment to Tasmania's biosecurity.
Increasing our effort in biosecurity to make sure we have more resources available to protect Tasmania's brand.
Meanwhile, the government has rallied behind the Turnbull government's Gonski 2 funding, which it says will deliver only benefits to Tasmanian schools.
We will have in the order of an extra $200 million into education in Tasmania.
Tasmanians will decide the fates of 3 upper house electorates when voters head to the polls tomorrow. Candidates in Launceston, Murchison and Rumney will battle it out for a seat. Today they made a last-ditch attempt for votes. Independent MLC Tony Mulder is a long-time incumbent of the seat of Rumney, and he's hoping to keep it that way. Ahead on Win News, Tasmanian students flock to Maria Island thanks to a new initiative. And meet the volunteers donating their time to feed Hobart's homeless. Welcome back. Back to our earlier story now, when the son of Tasmanian Senator Eric Abetz has been disqualified from driving for 3 months. He has not been given a suspended sentence, as reported earlier in our bulletin, after he was caught driving while under the influence of an illicit drug. Taking a look at what's making news outside the state now. Shocked friends and family are in mourning following the death of a Victorian University student from meningococcal disease. Donald Trump and Malcolm Turnbull meet for the first time in New York. After 7 decades in the public eye and at 95 years of age, Prince Philip is calling time on public engagements. And the race for the Australian Olympic Committee presidency to be decided tomorrow. An inquest into the death of a Chinese man who died of hypothermia while attempting to walk the overland track with 2 friends in 2014 has recommended procedures be put in place to prevent people who are ill-prepared from undertaking the walk. It's also recommended information be translated on the website, as well as extra signage in the visitors centre. Sport now with Brent Costelloe, and Ian Shaw's controversial sacking continues to be a discussion point, Brent.
Won't go away for a while, Lucy. More on that after the break. Also tonight, the star-studded Crows arrive in Tasmania ahead of tomorrow's AFL clash against North Melbourne.
Welcome back. Taking a look at the weather now. On the islands, it was a fine day on King and Flinders. Fine and 17 for Smithton, Wynyard and Burnie. Devonport and Launceston reached 16. Down the east coast, St Helens and Swansea had a fine day. In the west, partly cloudy for Strawn and Queenstown, and Hobart had a fine day with 16 the top. The satellite shows a high in the Tasman Sea, while a trough extends through inland Australia. On the water tomorrow, in the north, winds up to 20 knots with swells below 1 metre. In the east, winds between 15 to 20 knots with seas up to 2 metres. On the south coast, winds up to 30 knots with the sun rising just after 7. And in the west, winds between 25 to 30 knots and the sun setting at 5:17. There's a strong wind warning current for all coastal waters tomorrow, and a small craft wind alert for the Central Plateau and Southwest Lakes. It's set to be a very wet day right across the state tomorrow. On the islands, windy and rainy for both King and Flinders. Similar conditions on the northwest coast, 16 for Wynyard, Burnie and Devonport. Launceston will have rain, also 16. Down the east coast, 18 for St Helens and Swansea. Cooler in the west for Strawn and Queenstown. Rain and possible snow on Mount Wellington, and rain developing in Hobart and 18 the top. If you're travelling interstate, it should be a mostly fine day across the country. And looking ahead back home, the wet weather is set to continue for the next couple of days, easing off for a mostly fine start to the week. Similar conditions in Launceston, but temperatures will drop right down to 14 on Sunday. And in Hobart, the wet weather will stick around until Monday, finding up from Tuesday. And that's Win News for this Friday. I'm Lucy Breaden. Have a lovely weekend. Good night.